236 all out. Well, the Sri Lankans were relentless. They kept at it and did not allow Bangladesh to run away with what at one stage looked possible. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough batters putting in the kind of effort they should have. Here's a look at the match summary. It was one of those old-fashioned one-day international matches, not a 300 plus, and it was always going to be interesting. 257 is what Sri Lanka managed thanks to Samana Vikrama, Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nisanka up top. Bangladesh falling 21 runs short. 3 wickets apiece for the captain Chanaka, Matisha Pathirana and Mahesh Theekshana. Joy Bhattacharjya and Dinesh Karthik in the house. From Sri Lanka's point of view, I suppose the one lesson that I've learned is keep hustling and it'll pay off. They kept at it with the ball.
One major lesson I've learned today is to pronounce Theekshana and Pathirana properly. So, credit to Sri Lanka, credit where it's due. I thought they started well with Shanaka getting those wickets early, but I thought the unsung hero in many ways were Velalage, because he kind of, had a noose around their necks and didn't really let them off the hook, not giving them singles, odd ball turning, the one that's coming in. And it's going to be a massive challenge when that kind of a situation presents itself. If you have two right-handers and one left-arm spinner who's, getting the batsman to literally dance to his tunes. We obviously saw what Theekshana and Pathirana have been good at. When we speak about Sri Lanka, they won their 13th match in a row rather, and why they have done it. And I think Theekshana and Pathirana have been a major factor in closing out sides, and that's what you saw. The back end, the last 10 overs, the way they got the 5 wickets, very clinical. Pathirana showing why he's so skillful with his slinging action, and Theekshana in many ways just making sure the carom ball hits the stump every time he bowls in. Very, very clinical effort from Sri Lanka. Well tried by Bangladesh, though I think they'll go back and see what they could have done better in terms of shot making, but a lot of credit to Sri Lanka from the outset.
Nothing predictable about this second innings, Joy. All of us were glued to the TV just watching and wondering which way this match is going to go. Is this the great Asian cricket circus?
It is the great Asian cricket circus. I actually loved the match because I thought 2-3 things came out very well. For Sri Lanka, it required their captain finally, we've been talking about the captain not being in form and not bowling enough. And he did both today. He got runs with the bat. He bowled today. He bowled in crucial times to crucial wickets up front for them. Remember, they were 55 for no loss.
Yeah.
And that's really, that's a spell that's made a difference up front. And then used his bowlers, marshalled his bowlers fantastically. And I completely agree with the point that, bowlers like Theekshana and Pathirana are not easy for tailenders to face.
Yeah.
Understanding the cannon ball or facing a slinger. And what they've been very efficiently doing is wiping out the tail, which is why it's not just the 13th win for Sri Lanka, it's the 13th time they've dismissed the opposition.
Yes, the bottom 5 have been dismissed by Theekshana and Pathirana. Take a look at that. Right from the bottom, Shariful Islam, Taskin Ahmed, Nasoom Ahmed, Shamim Hussain and Tohid Ridoy. Let's take it bit by bit. When you're chasing 258 and you have just one guy scoring 82 and the rest of them not really doing much, it's always going to be difficult, right? 9 out of 10 times you will lose.
Yes, it's obviously the batters up front to give them the start that they require. They got off to a good start, like what Joyda said, but they didn't capitalize on that when you're facing good attacks. You need to make sure when you get off to a start, you need to keep pressing the accelerator and staying long at it. And that's something the Bangladeshi batters didn't do. Tawhid Hridoy, yes, he got his 80, though he started on a note which put a bit of pressure on Mushfiqur Rahim. And he was the more experienced player and he was trying to hold fort. But it took him to a point where he had to play a big shot and he tried it off Shanaka and ended up losing his wickets. They look back at this and say, the last 20, 150, 160 seems to be very chaseable if you have wickets in hand, especially after the advent of T20. And we spoke about in the com box, 10 overs 80 is chaseable if you have wickets in hand. And they got themselves with everything that they did into that position. But what they didn't have was batting and lower order skill with the bat. And both of that let them down in a big way. We saw Australia in the recent past at number 10, Ashton Agar comes in and gets you a 48 along with Manas Labuschagne and they cruise through to a total which looked impossible halfway through the inning. Now that is how important lower order batting has become, and that is an area of interest for a lot of oppositions to use if you don't have that in your arsenal.
Joy, it's one thing to have resources, it's another to be able to use them well. Shanaka used Pathirana very differently today. He himself bowled overs, Rajita bowled as well. He got the spinners in as well, and then you saw that spin choke in the middle overs. Has he found the right formula to use the kind of variety he has in his bowling attack?
Forget about that. Again, I go back to the basics. He has always had the right formula for the right game. Otherwise, every match you don't dismiss all the teams out. Except I thought they were a bit helpless against Afghanistan when Nabi got going. But other than that, they have always executed their plans well. And look at it this way. He comes in, he gets a wicket. Immediately he takes off the fast bowlers. He puts in Velalage at one end. Velalage bowls beautifully. And I think his spell, if you look at it, really that sets it up, because that 11 to 20 is about 5 overs of Velalage. And I think he finished with, in a
10 overs, one made in
26 runs, yeah. And that wicket was also a crucial wicket because Luton is one of their top batsmen. Of course, it was a lucky catch. I don't know how Kushal Mendis held on to it, but he held on to it. And that was important. So, Velalage was equally important. Velalage putting the pressure meant that at some point in time, the batsman had to try and start taking risks. Again, whenever the spinners are putting pressure, batsmen will take risks, wickets are going to fall. And then once you reach 5 or 6 wickets, this Sri Lankan attack with Pathirana and Theekshana is very, very difficult for tailenders who are not skilled batsmen to face.
They were 181 for 5 in the 42nd over. 5 wickets fell in the last 10 overs. Let's go to Theekshana first. You've batted against him. He's one of those LBW machines, isn't it? When you know that pretty much every time the ball is going to come straight, how does a lower order batter or a finisher approach someone like a Theekshana?
You got to try and play Theekshana like you play a straight ball as much as possible. So his carom ball is the one that pitches and skids on. You got to stay low and try and hit it straight over the top. And his top ball is his off spin which he bowls, which is much slower. So you have time to decide whether you want to hit it in long on or deep mid wicket. If the line is outside off stump, then you go on the offside. But you got to keep watching out for that carom ball because that's the one that comes much quicker onto you, and that's his wicket taking ball with his LBW and bowl coming into play. So as a middle order batsman, you need to line up looking for that fast one, and if it is slow after that, you have time to decide where you want to hit it depending on the length. And that's how, or line for that matter, and that's how you need to be ready for a Theekshana. He is obviously a very skilled bowler, but I think he's got a good head on his shoulders as well, which is even more important if you're bowling at the death.
And as Ravi Shastri would say, he's got a ticker because he did have that thumb injury. And post-match he said, yeah, it was difficult to grip the ball, but when you're playing for the country, it doesn't matter. Grip it for the carom ball is what he meant apparently. This goes to show that he's got a ticker. He's got the guts and the gumption to go out there and perform despite the injury.
Wait, let's look at where does Theekshana come from. He's basically from the Sri Lankan army. He's just got a promotion. And who is the person who's his inspiration and taught him to bowl? Ajanta Mendis. Wow. So, you're talking about that whole family of mystery spinners, the carom ball. Yeah. One of the things the carom ball requires, which, DK will tell you, is it requires really strong fingers to be able to bowl that ball, to give it that pace. And Theekshana is really that way. He's a tough customer. He took that blow. Look, it's a vital match because remember, if you're looking at this, this Super 4, who are you looking at? Who are your other two opponents? India and Pakistan. You have to win this match if you're Sri Lanka because you're saying the other two, whatever it is, at least on paper, are stronger teams than us. This is a must-win match for not just for Bangladesh but also for Sri Lanka.
Yes, Bangladesh, it's going to take a miracle for Bangladesh to qualify for the finals from here. 2 big losses, minus 0.749. India opened their campaign against Pakistan, who are top of the group at this stage. They look unbeatable completely. A little more on someone like a Theekshana. For how long do you see this mystery remaining a mystery?
I think from a personal point of view, even though I can pick what a Theekshana bowls, I think it's his length that makes him really special. He's always going to be a bowler who's going to be dependent on how consistent he is with his length. Because his two variations, the carom ball and the off spin, are at many times predictable and you can read it from his fingers. But the tough part is the length that he bowls is very hard to line him up at the death to hit him for a boundary. So that's what makes him special. So the answer to that question is, as long as his length is consistent, a line can vary a bit, which is fine, but his length is mandatory for him to be consistent to have a long career.
Mahesh Pathirana as well picked up 3 for 58, got them all out in that 10th over, 9.1, one made in 58 for 3. He is growing in reputation with every such performance.
Absolutely. And, again, remember, he did, before he did his job at the death, he did a very crucial thing. He got Shakib Al Hasan out.
Yep.
In a needle match like that, Shakib is a vital player, and he bowled 2-3 at the stumps, and the moment he went outside, Shakib felt the need to give it a whack and just feathered it to the keeper. And so those are the kind of things that happen. He's giving you wickets, and it's interesting because he wasn't used too much up front. Shanaka came in up front where normally he uses Pathirana, but when he got in to use Pathirana gave him a very vital wicket, comes back at the end and finishes off well. And I think if you look at it, just look at that bowling attack, it's a very interesting story. The people who have given away most runs, other than Shanaka, are Pathirana and Thikshana have given away the runs, but they've also taken 6 of the wickets.
Yep.
And what has happened is the other bowlers have basically just contained. And I thought, again, for me, perhaps the most bowler who's least rewarded but done fantastically was Welelage. I think he bowled beautifully, and when Tawfiq Ridoy and Mushfiqur were putting together a partnership, they just couldn't attack him. They tried very hard, they tried to jump out at him, but he just didn't give them any opportunities.
Once again, a quick coaching clinic from you. How does a lower order batter or a finisher, once again, bat against a Pathirana when you know he's firing those software coded Yorkers, if you like?
The beauty about a Pathirana is at most times he's going to bowl a Yorker. But still it can be hard for you to face. If I tell you to pad up and stand in front of him, probably he'll bowl a Yorker to you. But it would be still hard to pick him up because of where he releases the ball. It will literally come from the umpire's left shoulder, and you're not used to that for a start. B, if he bowls a bouncer at you, unlike other bowlers, you will feel it coming a lot closer to you in terms of height. It will be probably somewhere close to your chin more often than not, even if it is for a normal short ball I'm talking about. Whereas with normal other right arm medium pacers, it might go over the head. But because he releases so so far away from his body in a slingy action, bounce is always going to be less for him. So a bouncer can be very deceptive. The key to playing Pathirana is how stable you are at the point of release, because if by chance you're having your initial movement or trigger happening at that time, or you fear him and you start moving backward, it will be very, very hard to pick him, because unlike the normal bowlers you've faced, the place where he releases the ball is completely different to what you're used to. And for you to learn to pick that, your best chance is to remain as stable at the point of release. And that is a tough ask, because a lot of players, when they're playing 135, 140 plus, need what is called an initial movement or a trigger to just get them moving to get into a position. Now against those kind of bowlers, when you are doing that, batters will train to have a very steady head, whereas the bowlers who haven't batted enough will obviously not have that skill, and in many ways will be protecting themselves from getting hurt than trying to hit the cricket ball. So it becomes a handful to deal with.
We're going to try and send a clip of this bit to the Bangladeshi lower order. We spoke about how that is a bit of a weakness.
I'll translate it for them.
And translate. We'll make sure we do that. Lots of subtitles. You can't expect someone like a Nasoom Ahmed or a Shoriful Islam to be able to do what top order batter should have done. Yes, he got the wicket of Shakib, but someone else should have stayed on the crease with Tawhid Ridoy.
No, absolutely. And Tawhid Ridoy, once he got out, Shamim Hussain again flatters to deceive. He's a bona fide batsman, but he just hasn't got it going for them, and it's been a poor tour for him. And that's what I'm saying, that unless their batsmen turn up, this is not a Bangladesh team that can win consistently. I thought their bowlers did the job. I thought 256, 257, 258 is a decent target. They had a chance, but their batsmen are letting them down.
Tawhid Ridoy, 82 of 97 is one innings that gave Bangladesh hope. If only he had support alongside Mushfiqur Rahim. Lasted 48 deliveries, only 29. If he stayed, who knows? It might have been a great chase. Mushfiq got out, and then thereafter there wasn't much that he could do. Tawhid Ridoy got out very late. It would have been a heartbreaking sort of loss for Ridoy, who did all the hard work but just ran out of partners.
Ridoy and heartbroken. Our director would be heartbroken that he got out at that stage. But it was a good inning from him, though I think one area where he needs to improve on is how he paces the inning at the start. I thought he got stuck a little bit, wasn't rotating strike enough, didn't find time to play the fast bowlers. Yes, they were sharp, especially Pathirana, but he didn't have the skill to rotate strike at that stage, which put pressure on his partner, which ended up, wherein Mushfiqur Rahim ended up losing his wicket. Though after that, he showed a lot of skill in terms of playing shots and also mentally trying to take it deep in the end. Yes, he got out. A very hard decision as a batter, because when you get struck on the leg at that point of time, you feel like it could be sliding. But with DRS in play these days, decisions are very much in favor of the umpires when it comes to umpires' calls. So it's very understandable. I thought he managed to pull it at the end, and he was their last hope, but didn't last right till the end and ended up losing the game.
Did that partnership give you any hope that they'd go on to win this? Because it wasn't a 300 chase.
Yeah, but then it's about a 100-run partnership that they got together. I think it was a base. They gave something to them. The problem only is that you have a situation where there was too much pressure on Mushfiqur to keep the run rate going up, and that's why you see he took a 72-run partnership and he tried to force the pace. 72 runs in 112 balls. And remember, I think this is still better. I think when they started off, they were barely going at about 3 runs, at 0.5, a scoring rate of 0.5. But that's the thing, that scoring rate of 50 will not do it for you. They came better towards the end. The problem out here is if you can't hit the spinners and you can't rotate the strike, as what DK is saying, you're going to put too much pressure on one of the partners. When Shanaka comes back, then Mushfiqur Rahim feels the need that, okay, there's a medium pacer there, I need to force the pace, and he hits it straight to cover. But that's what pressure does for you. Pressure from spinners, pressure from people who are not allowing you to take singles is going to make you have to take big shots.
This is where a right-left combination becomes so important, Manish. We keep speaking about it. When Velalage is bowling, it is really hard for a right-hander to hit a boundary. It would mean taking a high risk. And when you're batting the 12th, 13th over, as a batter, you don't want to take a high-risk option. What are the options? You're either looking to sweep him, but if the ball doesn't turn and come straight, there's a great chance of LBW. Or on the other hand, if you want to go over covers, which is your next best option, you are exposing your stumps, and if the ball just turns a bit or just straightens on you, you have a chance of getting bowled. So it is a great case in point where right-left combination would have worked provided the left-hander got going against the spinner and took a lesser risk to hit a boundary. Now this is where India needs to be careful as well. Because if a Velalage is bowling and the Indian lineup is full of right-handed batters, these are the kind of situations which they need to be aware that whether sending an Akshar or a Jadeja at that stage will make sense to take on a left-arm spinner and make things easier so that when the pressure is on, they're able to hit boundaries or at least rotate strike with lesser pressure. And not only Indian team, any team which has 2-3 right-handers in the middle order, this is an important point for them to ponder about.
If Ishan Kishan is watching this, I'm sure he's blushing. I'm sure he's smiling because I suppose he would realize his importance. If he does play, he would realize the responsibility he has in that middle order at number 4 or 5 or whatever it is.
He has a role to play, though I would start with KL Rahul to put an end to this debate.
All right, we shall move to the preview. It is going to be a Super Force Sunday, India versus Pakistan. India opened their Super Force campaign. Pakistan, on the other hand, are looking unbeatable at this stage with a terrific bowling lineup. They had a 7-wicket win against Bangladesh. Pakistan have already announced their 11. No surprises there. They are starting to become a very stable force in cricket. But Joy, India starting the Super Force campaign, the intensity has to sort of go up. They've only had an innings and a half of action in the last 7 or 8 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Innings and a half of action. They've seen what and also they've seen what these bowlers can do, which is not a bad thing at all. And you've seen it in a match where after a difficult position, they reached 266. So you would have to say that after they stabilized the innings, perhaps they could have gone up to 280, 290. But after that start to reach 266 was, I think, creditable from the performance. There's an interesting thing out there. Remember what happened in that particular match. You had 2 spinners bowling, and Shadab and Wasim. And what happened, Nawaz. And what happened at that stage was that India managed to get away. So one of those things they've plugged. They have taken away one of those spinners and put Fahim Ashraf out there, who bowled pretty well in the last match. Which means that one of the places where the Indian batsmen had a bit of a breather, had a bit of a relief because they found the spinners easier to face, that's not going to happen. The second thing is that these conditions are probably better for the Pakistan spinners than they are. Perhaps their fast bowlers also will not mind it right at the start if, what DK is telling us that Colombo is a pitch that gives fast bowlers something to work with, especially in the evening. So their fast bowlers won't mind it, but their spinners would much prefer it to somewhere like a Lahore.
Yes, it's going to be Shadab and Ifti Chacha who will...
Shadab, Ifti Chacha.
Because Mohammad Nawaz is not a part of the 11. From an India perspective, if we can pull up that squad, Bumrah is back with the team. He's joined the team. who does he come into the lineup in place of?
Mohammad Shami.
Okay, straight away. And Ishan Kishan goes out for KL Rahul?
Yes, I would start with KL Rahul. I think he needs game time. He is somebody who has done really well in the middle order in the limited time that he has spent there, and you need to give him the confidence and back him and make him feel part of the setup. Though the biggest question for India would be, are they going in with Shardul or Akshar Patel? That will be the only question of thought for them. And don't you think, Joyda, that the fact that Pakistan are putting out the 11 a day before the game, we have seen that in Test cricket, but they're doing it in ODI for some strange reason, is a statement in itself to say that, you know what, we're very sure about what we want.
Exactly, and we don't really care what your team is like or what the weather conditions are like. Right, it is a bit of, it is upmanship also. It's saying that, okay, we don't care what your team is, here's what we have. And we really don't care, we are happy with all conditions. So I think there is a little bit of a, gamesmanship happening out there, which is fine. And I think the Indian team will take it that way, but I totally agree. The interesting thing is, who do you think they pick tomorrow? You've seen the pitch today. Is it Akshar for you or Shardul?
I will go with Shardul Thakur, only because I still think this pitch has something to offer for the fast bowlers. Whether they bowl first or bat first, it is consistent. Whereas with the left-arm spinner, I think more of it comes in the second innings, whereas in the first innings, there is not as much for the left-arm spinner. So I would go with Shardul Thakur in this game.
Ishan over, KL over Ishan for you, Joy?
It has to be. Because forget everything else. He's a part of our plans. We've been telling everyone that, he's been a part of our plans from 2 years before. We have to give him a run into the World Cup. So no matter what the situation is, for us, KL Rahul has to play. And he has to bat at 5, and we have to see whether that works or doesn't work. Because even if we bring Ishan Kishan back for the World Cup, we have to first give KL Rahul that opportunity to cement his place.
Joy, you've managed a high-profile cricket team. Players keep getting picked and dropped. What should the management be telling Ishan Kishan? What's that conversation going to be like?
No, I think this team does this very well. I think Rahul does it well. I think Ajit with the selectors would be doing it well. They would be talking to every player who's not playing and telling them why they're not playing and what needs to change for them to play.
Yep.
They might be saying to Kishan, look, you've done well, but we need to give Rahul an opportunity to prove himself at this position. And if this changes, we will let you know this is what's going to happen. And I think they're going to be very clear about it, because if you see, we've been speaking to Arshdeep and, reports have come out. And Arshdeep has himself said that the management has spoken to me and told me. So one great thing this management is doing is they're being very clear about why you're playing, why you're not playing, and what needs to change for you to play. And I think that way they're handling this very, very well.
It's so important, right, DK, to have the right kind of vibe and the right kind of dialogue with such sensitive cases just 3 or 4 weeks before a World Cup.
Mental health is a much spoken about topic, and when you're part of Team India or you're on the fringes, you can get worked up a lot. What is happening? Why am I not there? What should I need to do? Must admit that Rohit and Rahul Dravid have been very clear with the messages that have been sent to the players, which gives them confidence as to what they know. In most cases, I would like to think, sometimes I think in communication, there is a lot lost in communication at times as well. But I think Ishan Kishan will be aware. It's not the first time that it's going to happen to him. He got a double 100 in Bangladesh. The next match when it was in India, he didn't end up playing. Here they would have said, you've got 450s in 4 innings in the recent past, but 3 of that is when you're opening. The 1 inning that you got in the middle order, you again proved to us why you're worth having in this 15, and we really value you. The moment KL Rahul doesn't go well, it'll be your turn for sure. But till then, till we feel that KL Rahul should be given a good run for us to know that, yes, he is the guy or you're the guy. So for the moment, with what he has done and what he has achieved in middle order, I think the first dips must go to KL Rahul. So, we're giving it to him. The moment we're not sure, we will come back to you. But till then, just stay in the team, practice and do whatever you've been doing, because whatever you're doing has been working really well for you.
On to the Pakistani bowling now. 24 of the 30 wickets Pakistan have taken at this Asia Cup have been taken by their pacers. Now, having seen the pitch, how do you think they should go about using their 3 pacers? Do they hold back one of the 3 strike bowlers to add some more firepower to the middle overs? How do they use Shadab Khan? Where do they use Iftikhar Ahmed?
For me, the 3 fast bowlers, Shaheen, Harris and Naseem, have been handling themselves really well. Fahim Ashraf obviously just got the 1 game, looked decent. Though having said all of this, I think in a way, by not playing Mohammad Nawaz, they are playing into India's hands a bit, because if India get going, they're going to play a lot of medium pace. You got to understand India is very right-hand dominated batting lineup. So you wouldn't see an Iftikhar Ahmed bowl so much. So that's left with just the 5 pure bowlers. And out of that, you have 4 medium pacers. So if India get going, then you will feel, as a Pakistan team, you will feel that you're getting monotonous because your only change is going to be Shadab Khan.
Yep.
If they had played Mohammad Nawaz, it will give them the option of left-arm spin, which looks like a very potent weapon in this ground and these conditions. And I'm surprised they haven't gone with that. But they've gone with a team which has helped them in Lahore and they have stuck to that. So it's going to make for a very interesting combination. You'll see Shaheen Shah and Naseem Shah bowling with the new ball, Haris Rauf coming in within the first 10 overs, followed up by Fahim Ashraf. But what happens when, in case India start going at them and get a good score in the first 20-22 overs, then they'll be in a bit of trouble.
India wouldn't mind Fahim Ashraf.
Wouldn't mind Fahim Ashraf. The only place where I disagree with DK is that I would like to see Akshar Patel. If for nothing else, just to change it around a bit.
Yep.
I'd just like to see Akshar Patel there. But, you know, let's see what the Indians go.
And I would like you guys to give me your players to watch out for.
For me, I would love for Shubman Gill to get runs tomorrow.
Yes.
And Shreyas Iyer. These are the 2 players that I'm really looking out for tomorrow.
You?
Absolutely. Shreyas Iyer for me very crucial because and KL Rahul. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul are the 2 players I'd love to see tomorrow get some runs. 4 and 5, as you know, 4 is a traditional problem for us, and 5 now. You know, just to see KL Rahul establish himself again is important for India.
Well, there you have it. We've discussed a fair bit of India versus Pakistan. We will, of course, come back at 2:30 p.m. Tomorrow for a proper India versus Pakistan preview with Mr. Harsha Bogle and Dinesh Karthik in the house. But before we say goodbye, the answer to Joy Factor, sir.
Okay, here goes. So, interesting group of people: Rohit Sharma, Kapil Dev, Simi Singh. Who is the 4th? And these are basically one-day international cricketers who have scored the highest runs at each position. So, of course, you know, Rohit Sharma's is at 264 as an opener. Kapil Dev, we know, at number 6 has scored a big century, that famous 175. Simi Singh at number 8 for Ireland, but he is born in India. And of course, the other one is also played, but he's played for the US, Jaskaran Malhotra of US at number 5. Highest ODI score batting at number 5. Got 173 there. So that's the answer. So, you know, Indians, whether they are playing for us or for other countries, they are dominating ODI scores and positions. So 4 of the 11 are Indians.
You know, when I see these questions and the answer, I start doubting my education. I'm just not good enough. Thank God I don't have to answer these questions. Who got it right? Let's have a look at the Sabarish. Well done, Sabarish. Sir, आप तो thumbs up ज़्यादा कुछ दे दो, sir. Only thumbs up is not good enough, sir. कुछ तो.
So he's given everything.
Yay!
Also, you've given away everybody. Look, just be a bit careful because Parthiv wore a purple coat which he's promised away. Now I know that you're just wearing a shirt, so I don't want him to give away your shirt. Be very careful of him. He never gives away his own clothes.
But sir, my clothes won't fit anyone, sir. They will need extra material to extra cloth.
How do you know?
Oh, maybe there are some short people out there. I think we're done for the day. It's been a good day for Sri Lanka. 13 consecutive ODI wins. It is a record. They're now at number 2 after the golden generation of Australia, 03, that World Cup phase for Australia when they became world champions, beating India in Johannesburg. So well done, Sri Lanka. Congratulations. They are very much in the hunt for a spot in the finals. It's India versus Pakistan tomorrow. Make sure you join us at 2:30 p.m. on Cricbuzz Live in English and Hindi. कपूर साहब होंगे, उनको भी देखना, हमको भी देखना. फिलहाल सो जाओ. Good night.